This is Peter Kame with Ogilvy Digital Labs. I'm here at the floor at the convention at E3 2008, and we're here to talk about the new game features for NBA Live 09 with Brett Nielsen from EA. So, Dynamic DNA, this thing's amazing. Can you talk about what this feature is in the new game?
Yeah, you bet. So Dynamic DNA is comprised of three main things. One is player tendencies, so that's decision-making players to drive to the right, drive to the left, or take a shot. It's also player DNA. Player DNA is a breakdown of how players in the NBA will score, so whether they spot up, post up, isolation, pick and roll. And the third component is team DNA, and that's how all of these individual players play as a unit. And we partnered exclusively with a company called Synergy Sports Technology that tracks all of this data and information of every game in the NBA, and they actually provide a scouting service and analytics to the NBA teams. So instead of us trying to figure out, you know, when would Kobe drive to the right or the left and kind of put those numbers in ourselves, we're now taking this real world data and putting it into the game to actually drive the core gameplay. But that's not the coolest part. The coolest part is if you're connected online, because Synergy is tracking this data for every game and on an ongoing basis throughout the year, we're going to be updating that information and that data on your console every day. We're going to provide daily updates. So really, your game is going to be changing every day, just like it does and evolves throughout the course of a real NBA season.
Right. So what happens when the season's over? It's the legacy data that was historically generated?
Yeah, so you'll be left with, you know, whatever, and we'll be able to, for every team that's kind of still going in the playoffs right up until that last game of the finals, we'll be getting new data, and then you'll have kind of the data that you're left with. But you have the ability to save out multiple versions of a roster. So let's say there was an update that from January that you really liked the way the player tendencies worked, you liked the DNA, you just liked how the game played for that. I can save that and go back and load up that from any point in time during the season. And the cool thing about these updates and that are happening daily is that it's not just changing rosters or changing statistics, it's actually changing the players' behavior. Just like their behavior changes in the real NBA, you'll see that behavior and the way they move, the way they score in the game. A good example is Pau Gasol. When he was playing for the Grizzlies, they used him as a pick and roll man. That's how they utilized him in their offense. When he was traded to the Lakers, he became much more of a post-up player for them. So you saw that change in the real NBA. If a big trade like that happens this upcoming season in the NBA, that change is going to be reflected. So just the way Pau's game changed from one team to the other, and in the way the Lakers as a team changed their dynamic when Pau came to them, you'll be able to see and feel that change in your game experience as well.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, that's the next generation of sports titles, is real game integration with what's going on in real life. Can you talk a little about what's going on with the online component and sharing the experience with your friends?
Absolutely. So we do have a ton of new online features that we're not ready to announce just yet, but that we're going to be revealing in the upcoming months. But one big one to talk about is actually something that didn't ship with the game last year, but that we kind of launched after the game had shipped, called Online Team Player, OTP. And what that is the ability to play as a single player in an online game with 9 other individual consoles anywhere in the world. So you've basically got 10 people playing as all 10 players on the court on 10 different consoles. So it was a technological breakthrough for us last year, but because it didn't ship with the game, maybe not a lot of people knew about it. So we're also building a lot of new features and supporting that technology and that feature that you'll be seeing in NBA Live 09.
And then how do you address simple things like lag time if you're playing with people in Russia and South Africa, etc.?
So we have different lobbies and things that will try and pair you up with people that are close to different servers, so that you'll have the best experience possible. So all of that information you'll have to be able to set up a game that should be, you know, lag free when you're playing. We want our online experience to be exactly like the offline experience.
Great. And again, just looking at the game, the motion is even better than the 08 title, which is pretty amazing. Can you talk about the motion capture, just the physics engine?
Sure, yeah. I mean, one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is trying to get the motion in the game as realistic as possible. You know, we bring a lot of players to motion capture to get their signature go-to moves in the game. Something that we added into the game last year, and we've added a ton of content. We've got more signature moves, more go-to moves. Just a lot more variety in one-off animations, in transitions, and then for just coverage for areas like rebounding, you'll see a lot more physicality when players will like collide in midair, and a lot more animation variety and coverage around those areas of the game as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
This is Peter Kang with Ogilvy Digital Labs, taking a look at the new digital online features for NBA Live 09.